All right, 17 minutes past 8 o'clock. Yesterday, the United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, led the first South African integrated biological and behavioral survey on HIV in transgender women. This project is funded by the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, that's PEPFAR, and is led by the Human Sciences Research Council and various South African and international academic and civil society partners. From our Sea Point studio, we're joined by Allanise Cloete, one of the lead researchers, and here in Johannesburg with me, I've got a good friend of Morning Live, Steve Letsike, the deputy chairperson of the South African National AIDS Council. Steve, good to see you. Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much.
And of course, Allanise, thank you very much for your time and welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you, Leanne.
Let's begin with you, Allanise. Why is this study significant?
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about this very important study. So this study is significant because currently we don't know how many transgender women are HIV positive in South Africa. For a very long time, transgender women's issues, and in particular with regards to HIV, has been neglected in South Africa and also globally. So for the first time, we will be able to understand the burden of HIV amongst transgender women in South Africa. And so this means we will be able to direct resources where it's most needed.
Yeah. You know, you obviously, Steve, I mean, we know you so well as a person who is an advocate for human rights. Do you think that sexual orientation specific study of AIDS is actually important?
Well, it's very crucial, but also looking at this current one, which is looking at transgender women, and this has to do with the gender aspect that puts people at risk. And here we are talking about transgender women who are 49 times higher of contracting HIV than any adult of reproductive age. We have left a segment of the population out and left it behind, and particularly because of how we stigmatize and really neglect a certain population in our communities, and we've seen it for a very long time. But I think, fortunately, in South Africa, last year during the South African AIDS Conference, we have launched the first of its kind South African HIV LGBTI plan. And this is led by the South African National AIDS Council. And here we are, South Africa again will be leading the first of its kind, the biobehavioral study that is focusing on building evidence for trans women in this country.
Well, I mean, Allanise, looking at transgender women as a demographic, why was this decision taken? I mean, it's quite interesting, and I think a statement that Steve made off-air to me was this is it's the forgotten segment of the population, and perhaps that's your answer. It's time to shine the spotlight on transgender women.
Yes, exactly. So as Steve has mentioned, globally transgender women are nearly 49 times more likely to be infected with HIV than any other population of reproductive age. And it is, yesterday we were reminded that this journey for transgender women has been for so long. Transgender women, transgender issues have been neglected in this country. Yesterday, and I think that we all are still beaming with the launch of the study, we were reminded of the journey, and that in fact this study is the first step in a process to make transgender women's lives visible in South Africa.
Tell me, how is it actually going to be conducted? How is the survey and the study going to work?
Okay, so this survey or the study has 3 phases. Part 1 is a qualitative assessment, so we call this a rapid ethnography. And in this phase of the study, we will describe the personal, social, cultural, and economic context that really contribute to making trans women vulnerable to HIV infection. Phase 2 is called the pre-surveillance formative research, and in this phase, we will collect information that will inform the survey part of the study. And so yesterday in East London at the offices of SHE, we launched phase 3 of the study. So this is a very important aspect of the study that will start towards the end of January up to the end of September of this year. And we're using what is called respondent-driven sampling to recruit transgender women. And this study will be conducted in Cape Town, Johannesburg, and in East London. So respondent-driven sampling is peer-driven recruitment, where we ask transgender women to recruit on our behalf.
Yeah.
In the end, we're hoping to recruit 900 transgender women in these 3 study cities. So this is 300 transgender women in each of the 3 study cities. So we're documenting not only HIV prevalence, we're testing for antiretroviral, for the presence of antiretrovirals. We're doing HIV antibody testing. We're screening for TB in the study, and we're also testing for STIs. So this is a momentous occasion, one for the transgender movement in South Africa, and also for the HSRC, to be involved in this groundbreaking and pioneering study.
Allanise, thank you very much for talking to us. Allanise Cloete, talking to us from our Cape Town studio. Steve, your involvement in all of this, just very quickly, how is SANAC going to be a part of all of it?
Yeah, so there are quite a number of organizations, and I, Lee and I work with Access Chapter 2, which is based here in Gauteng, and in Eastern Cape is SHE, and in Western Cape it's other partners as well, like SWET and HSRC as well, being the host research lead. Our involvement, because we lead Amaqhawe Trans Women, we have a project that is specifically focusing on transgender people, and not only just creating a safe space, but also to ensure that transgender persons are linked to services. And that's what we are part of that's why we are part of the research, but also we will be linking directly in terms of research rolling out and ensuring that we mobilize, we also document some of the realities. One of the things, Leanne, that I want to say, if you take the realities of trans women, like for instance, today is the memorial of Lara Kruger in Northwest, who died on the 3rd of January. Just a week ago, and another trans woman in Northwest was murdered brutally. And here we are, we're talking about realities. We want to document just more than HIV, but also speaking about the lives that are very crucial. And that's why Botshelo Ba Trans, it's the name of the study that we have come up with.
Steve, thank you very much for talking to us here, shining the spotlight on transgender women here in South Africa. Steve Letsike is an advocate for human rights and holds executive positions in several organizations in that space. And of course, as we have thanked our guest in Cape Town, Allanise Cloete is awaiting her PhD results and works in the HIV, AIDS, STI and TB research programs at the HSRC. And her doctoral work looked at the links between the cultural performance of local same-sex cultures in the carnival and local popular culture and the everyday performance of identifying as gay. All right, let's take a break. We'll see you after this.